Bruh, thank God it's Friday. And then when you start, your tentacles start standing up to know exactly where to head to. How are you? I'm glad you're there. Welcome. My name is C. Joma. Do stand by for press review now. Welcome again. I have two gentlemen that have joined me for press review today. They are Imandi Ezenago, a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Imandi.
Good morning.
Okay, I also have Ejike Abata. He's also a public affairs analyst and a veteran journalist for that. Welcome, Ejike.
Good morning.
Okay, we have some stories making the round from our website this morning. Maybe we'll have to start with that. The first one says, Asia includes prostatectomy into health package of beneficiaries. Anambra State Assembly confirms the reappointment of Council Transition Committee chairman and members. ASHTA takes delivery of digital work tools from Anambra State government. Yeah, we heard about the arrival of these work tools. I mean, we're going to find out what is this exactly. Okay, so these and many more are the stories that you get from our website this morning, www.absradiotvorca.com. Welcome again. Yes, Ejike, let's start from the bottom. What is this work tool that ASHTA had taken delivery of from the state government?
We don't know what these work tools are. Probably it's the duty of ASHTA to ensure a livable environment for the Awka Capital Territory. They regulate building of structures, the landscape, the environment, so everybody is going green. So whatever equipment they may have acquired or received, I know it will be for the good of Anambra, Awka Capital Territory, so as to enable them carry out their duties effectively. We also know that over time they also engage in a demolition of illegal structures. Perhaps these are also part of the equipment that they've been be able to acquire. But whatever it is, we want to believe it is one that will help them in the discharge of their duties.
Okay, thank you very much. The first story they say Asia includes prostatectomy into health package of beneficiaries. We know that there are a number of sicknesses that were outlined for this package of you going to Asia hospitals to have access to. And now they're telling us that that's an inclusion. I think it's a good package. Okay, but another story, there's Anambra State Assembly confirms pre-appointment of Council Transition Committee chairman. And that's the last story that we are looking at this morning. This appointment comes every 3 months, and it's most cases reconfirmed for maybe a period of 1 year. Am I right? Amandi?
Yeah, they are being confirmed every 3 months because they are transition, not elected. So, but that of yesterday was a general confirmation. He said that I think this month made them 1 year in office as transition committee members. That includes the councillors and the put in their best and showcase their best, you understand, in their various offices. And in the part of the reconfirmation, I think that the same is the 2-year changed. That is also part of the progress that we need. So their reconfirmation was a great success, and we hope that in no distant time that the elections may take place.
Okay, thank you. Educator, I want to come in there. This piecemeal appointment, does it make for better development of the local government system?
There's nothing that can be better than a proper election. That is, we are in a democracy, and nothing can be compared to a proper election. So appointments and confirmation and reconfirmation, what we need is a proper election. As it stands now, we cannot hold the TC chairman to account. We cannot demand for accountability from them, because they are responsible to the governor who appointed them. But if they are elected through an electoral process, that is the people bringing them into, then they'll be accountable to the people. So we look forward to, whatever be the case, we look forward to an election where we bring in a proper chairman for the local government, or chairpersons for the local government, as it were.
Okay, chairpersons for the local government. Amandi, I'm coming back to you with that. What actually can local government chairman do within a period of 3 months that they are appointed before their confirmation? Okay, back to AGK. Do you think there's anything that they can achieve for 3 months?
There's little they can achieve. There's little they can achieve, because their responsibility, their job is all-encompassing. And so you don't expect them to embark on a project within 3 months and be able to achieve them, knowing well also that they get remuneration from the governor. So there's little they can achieve within 3 months, very little they can achieve. So that's why it's proper for the state government to hold an election where these people have a running tenure. Then they can sit down and plan what they intend to achieve within their tenure.
Okay. Okay, let's look at the papers this morning. Daily Sun is our first paper. The Daily Sun, ECOWAS orders deployment of troops to Niger Republic. I've actually gone through the papers. I think that is the story for the day. ECOWAS orders deployment of troops to Niger Republic. The arrest defense chief to activate standby force. AU, UN officials present at meeting. Coupists are terrorists. They belong to the barracks. Qatar said that. Okay, down here, Southeast governors meet in Enugu, vow to end insecurity in zone. And then exonerate Kano place. Exonerate Kano from ugly situation. That's the story making the rounds here. Tackling security, revive dead industry, CSO tells Tinubu. Job racketeering, Reps Committee orders arrest of ex-FCC staff for shunning invitation. 21 killed in midnight attack in Plateau. Governor expresses worry over renewed killings. And then down here, ministerial list, Ohaneze accuses Tinubu of shortchanging Southeast. 69% of inmates are awaiting trial, NCOS. Illegal possession of firearms, court fixes August 15 for hearing of Emefiele, federal government's application. Okay, kidnapping reducing in Southeast, and this is coming from the COAS, that's the Chief of Army Staff. National Star is our next paper. The new National Star, war looms as ECOWAS orders standby force against Niger military junta. The 6th African Union supports. Tinubu urges African leaders to make impact on citizens' life. But the banner headline there says Nigerian artists net 11 billion naira from Spotify in 2022. That's becoming a very big industry. International collaborations drive growth of Afrobeats. Wow. Okay, the Punch newspaper, Niger crisis, ECOWAS troops on standby. ECOWAS troops on standby. Junta threatens to kill Bazoum. Bazoum is their president, the post-president, okay. Tinubu says ECOWAS open to dialogue. UN, US worry over Bazoum in Junta's captivity. And then concerns rise over looming humanitarian crisis, burden on Nigeria's finances, and then our military too. Okay, Delhi Independent, before we start talking, Delhi Independent, 30 killed in fresh, let me see, okay, henchman attacks in Plateau community. We've seen that story. Killing and the death of Nigerians doesn't even, raise eyebrows again. He said 30. When you say 20, okay, this one is 20, and people will say that it's minimal now. We are talking of lives here, human lives, not chicken. Okay, but the banner headline there says, Niger, ECOWAS insists on military intervention, orders activation of standby force to reinstate Bazoum, and then decision not that of Nigeria against Niger, Cote d'Ivoire president. Okay, decision not that of Nigeria against Niger. Okay, this is coming from Cote d'Ivoire president. And then we are not averse to dialogue with coupists. This is coming from Tinubu. And Junta unveils cabinet as fears for the post-president grow. Khan denounces any form of military intervention in Niger. Other stories coming from the Delhi Independent. Chief of Army Staff vows to end insecurity in Southeast. And by the side of the paper, we'll have Tribunal sacks NNPP Reps member Mutar Yerima. Edo Deputy Governor may join APC next week. Job racketeering, we've seen the story, and then court fixes dates, we've also seen the story. Okay, back to where we started. That's the Daily Sun. I don't know, this Niger and the standby order that has been given by the ECOWAS nations, how are we, how is Nigeria particularly going to be affected?
Well, we've already been affected because the borders between Niger and some states in the north have been shut by the leaders of the leaders of the coup. So we already been affected. But if we decide, or if ECOWAS decides to go out for war, then we'll be more affected because we'll have more persons trooping in from Niger into Nigeria. And this will also pose a security threat for us. Several persons have said going out for war or military intervention it shouldn't be an option, and I want to buy into that as well, because it's not about Niger and ECOWAS now. Firstly, some persons are seeing it as Niger against Nigeria, but it's Niger against ECOWAS. But it's not really against. It's not just Niger. There are some other countries who are willing to volunteer and stand with Niger. And then Nigeria, just because the leader of the ECOWAS is the Nigerian president, it's beginning to look like a war between Niger and Nigeria. And it doesn't speak well for us. So, and are we really ready? Even if we decide to go to war, if ECOWAS decides to go to war, majority of the resources will come from Nigeria. Both the men that will fight the war, the resources, both finance and the artillery, the armory, most or majority of them will come from Nigeria. The question now is, have we settled the problems we have before deciding to go to rescue another nation?
Okay,
So,
we still have a lot of questions to answer on that, but let's first of all get how it affects us directly. Like I'm going to ask you again, Amandi, is the Niger issue a threat to Nigeria in any way? And if yes, how? Otherwise, it looks like apart from playing the big brother deal, it looks like Nigeria is taking Niger issue personal.
Yes, even from the past administration, you'll find out that there has been a very close, cordial relationship between Nigeria and Niger. For our former president to have set up a railway from Nigeria to another country, there is a relationship. And coming up to this, and when this came up, it was as if that it was planned at this point in time. But it is not a planned event that occurred. And it will affect us because we have borders with them, and which has been shut down for now. And another thing is that, just as my brother has said, our resources will come down. But are we going to help other people when we have little problem in our country in the aspect of insecurity, whereby our armies, our soldiers, the president, the leaders of this country, they've not helped to fight the insecurity in the country. And now they want to assist in fighting the insecurity or the coup in another country. Definitely it will affect us. And coming to think of it, that our president is also the chairman of the ECOWAS, and he also had a speech with African leaders that yesterday. So, my dear, it will really, really affect us both economically and security-wise.
Okay, it's going to affect us. Perhaps that's why a whole lot of people are now warning not to go to war. I don't know why we should actually venture into this. Okay, Ejike, since the Senate rejected the motion submitted by the president to declare war in Niger Republic, and then just yesterday, ECOWAS has approved military redeployment. Will Nigeria participate, and if yes, on whose order and approval, and what will likely be the consequences since the Senate said no to their president?
Well, the president is the commander-in-chief, is the CIC, so whatever he says, whatever orders he gives is what the military, even the Nigerian Air Force said they are ready. And that's the latest information coming from them. They said they are ready. And Nigeria is one country where we don't obey the laws. Everybody goes about doing what he or she wants to do. So the Senate saying is rejecting the move by the president may not even hold water. And let's also understand that it's not about, this thing is not a Nigerian thing, it's an ECOWAS thing. Perhaps that was why the Côte d'Ivoire leader said the order is not coming from Nigeria but from ECOWAS. But the president may have made the pronouncement as the chairman of the ECOWAS, but it's not.
It's our own Senate, ECOWAS Senate. If that is the case, that means he doesn't need permission from our Senate to go to war. Otherwise, we have not heard that the Ghanaian president has asked their own Senate, do we go to war? We've not heard of any other country asking their Senate. Why Nigeria? Why do we have a particular interest?
It's mere advisory, if let me put it that way, because the Nigerian Senate cannot dictate to ECOWAS what it will do. If the chairman of ECOWAS isn't a Nigerian, Nigerian Senate will not say they shouldn't go to war. Where the problem is now is, are other countries willing to bring out their military and take them to Niger?
Because we've not really heard their countries, apart from what we heard from, what was the country yesterday? Apart from that, we have not heard from other West African countries.
Yes, except there's a boycott.
Of ECOWAS.
Except there's a boycott of that move. Then, after all, they gave them a deadline for the reinstatement of Bazoum, a 7-day warning, and it elapsed and nothing happened. That was
ECOWAS talking, not a particular country, a particular nation in ECOWAS.
That's what I'm saying.
You see, that's why we're asking these questions. Why do we have personal interest in this case? Because we have not heard other member nations of ECOWAS talking the way we are talking.
It's merely like this because the leader of ECOWAS is from Nigeria.
This is Nigeria. This is not ECOWAS.
Yes, the leader of Nigeria.
This is Nigeria. You don't have to impose ECOWAS problem on the nation, Nigeria, because the leader is Nigerian. That's what a whole lot of us are really looking at. Okay, let's move on. Apart from loss of manpower and a whole lot of things, or investment of manpower, money, and a whole lot of things, Nigeria is hungry. Okay, how are we going to fare? Can you look at the projection? How are we going to fare if this war eventually takes off?
If this war takes off, it will affect us because most of the things that we that come into Nigeria by roads are from that Niger. I think that was one of the reasons why the former president has had to set up a railway from Nigeria to Niger for the easy inflow of import of goods. So it will affect us because many nations in the West African states are quiet about this issue. So I don't have much to say, but in the real sense, it will affect us. Because look at the present condition of the nation now. Hunger is everywhere. We cannot even the poor of the poor cannot even afford a square meal a day. Not to talk of when this comes in. And the resources, the financial resources especially, because getting the firearms and also paying, because you still pay the military, you still pay them because they are going for peacekeeping. Are you getting me? You still pay them aside from their normal salaries. Most of the modalities will come from this country, and it will run down our economy, and inflation will be high. And once inflation is, just take the dollar rate now that is 900 naira per dollar, and the rate of inflation, the oil price is high and all that. And most of these things, even the passage that we pass through to get most of these things that we need in this Nigeria by land, especially, we pass through that Niger. I think that's one of the reasons why Nigeria has special interest in that.
Okay. Let's leave it for now. Let's look at other stories, but I think we are still coming back to this because there's still a lot of questions to ask. And then, okay, Southeast, let's discuss our problems. Sejike, Southeast governors meet in Enugu vow to end insecurity in the zone. And then a Zenorate Kanu from the insecurity situation, the security situation of the Southeast. What do you have to say about that?
Truth be told, there's been a decline in the killings in the Southeast. There's been a decline in abduction and kidnappings. There's been a decline in attacks. But that is not to say it has completely weeded out. No. Of course, insecurity is rife in the Southeast, and tackling it will be a continuous thing. Whatever the Southeast governors may have done to bring it to the level where it is now is commendable, and we also look forward to then bringing it down. Of course, we cannot have an environment without insecurity, but at least bring it down to 5%, so that people will be able to run their business and move around. As regards Kanu, the exoneration, well, I think they are just being careful. They are being careful. They do not want to escalate the problem we already have on ground, and they do not want to incur the wrath of some non-state actors. But whichever way it is, what we want is peace in the southeast. And of course, some courts have ruled that Kanu should be granted bail. But unfortunately, we are in a country where we don't obey, or those who are in power. Those who are in power don't obey court orders. It's only the man on the street who obeys court orders. But those who are in the corridor, they don't obey court orders. That's why Kanu is still in incarceration.
Okay, apart from the security issue they're discussing, there seems to be a renewed romance between the Southeast governors, because for some time now, we hardly hear anything from them. You know, it's like there was a kind of divorce or separation among them, but now it does appear they're coming together.
Well, the old guards are no longer there. We have new persons. So it's usually like that. They come in with so much vigor. But when it's time for election, everybody petitions whatever they have at the center and go about seeking for re-election. That's what happened. Most of them are new, except the governor of Anambra State. And the governor of Imo State, whose election is also coming up very soon. So it's because there are new persons, and
Our
this
governor
new
is still new now. It's just 1 year.
That's what I'm saying. Our governor and aside Imo State governor,
3 others, yes.
aside Imo State governor. So that's why they have this vigor, and of course, coming in, what they are doing now is part of what they may have promised electorates and providing security. So this is one way to show that, okay, with the promises we make, we are trying to keep it. Well, of course, if they continue to judge, we know that people who elected them will be able to say, okay, this is what they are trying to, this is what they are doing, and this is what they intend to achieve. And whether we like it or not, whether we give them the credit or not, what we know is that insecurity has been reduced in the southeast.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's join that story with this one: illegal possession of arms. Court faces August 15 for hearing of Emefiele's federal government's application. I know that this is what we are seeing in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, whereby courts will grant him bail or even quit and discharge him, and the DSS will insist that he's still going to be kept there. Emefiele was charged to court on possession of firearms, and based on that charges, court has granted him bail, but they refused to leave him. What level of impunity do we call that one again?
You've already stated it, that was also the same thing that happened, or that is happening in the case of Nnamdi Kanu. And then, and coming to that of Emefiele, whereby he was charged on illegal possession of firearms. You know, him being the Central Bank of Nigeria, or rather being the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, you know, there are some certain orders that he may take, or decisions that he may take, that is not directly from him, or that is not a sole decision of him being the CBN governor. So for them to charge him, most of the people that are also behind the possession of this firearm, because it cannot be a case of one person. It cannot. I think that in that case, that the former president Muhammadu Buhari should be aware of the possession of the firearms, and you know,
even if he's aware on the position of the firearms by Emefiele? Is he not aware on the position of firearms by Dokubo Asari? Dokubo that is brandishing his own. The other one was even a pump action, and this one is AK-47. Now more sophisticated weapons. What exactly is going on?
You know, that is the case, or should I say, that is the problem of this country. The problem of this country is that the ruling party have their own persons that they use. That of the Kobo, we already know that it was also a sponsored act with strong persons, one or two persons behind him. That of the Kobo can't do such a thing if he doesn't have strong backups from the federal government.
Okay, let's look at the rest of the papers and then see if we can get a different story to talk about. This day newspaper is coming up now. Niger, ECOWAS deploys troops ready for diplomacy, peace. And then Nigerian president says initial ultimatum yielded no result. We are ready, declares Nigerian Air Force. Afenifere can others insist military action is no option. Okay, I think that's the angle. We're going to take this story again by the time we are done with the papers. Okay, the Nation newspaper, ECOWAS puts troops on standby for Niger Rep junta. Okay, Niger Republic junta. Okay, all options on the table. UN worried over fate of President Bazoum. However that name is called. Okay, that's all we're taking from here. The Guardian newspaper. Niger forms new government as ECOWAS standby force ready for deployment. These boys are unrelenting. I wonder what is pushing them. Okay, other stories coming from the Guardian newspaper. Youth Party false claim of 1 trillion naira saved in post-subsidy era. Refs issues arrest warrants on IPPIS officer over alleged job racketeering. Otedola makes fresh move, raises a stake in FBNH with 0.3% worth 2 billion. Nigerian artists raised 11 billion revenue from Spotify in 2022. Okay, Vanguard newspaper. Niger, ECOWAS orders deployment of standby forces as the same story going round. Directs committee of chief of defense staff to activate standby force. Appeals to UN for support. Okay. Junta warns they will kill the post-president in event of any military intervention. Forms a new government. Names 21 ministers. UN chief worries about Nigerian president's detention condition. And then spokesperson, Khan, dialogue has failed to resolve crisis. Cote d'Ivoire president. Okay, so many stories. APC National Working Committee to welcome Edo Deputy Governor next week. Okay. Daily Trust, Niger, Nigerians kick as ECOWAS orders deployment of troops. Force, threats must be withdrawn, Jega, Awai, others. And then it's about collaboration and unity coming from Tinubu. We will be at the receiving end, experts warn. Bazoum will be killed if we are attacked, military rulers. What? How many lives has he? To compare with the lives that are going to be lost in the war. ECOWAS orders activation of standby force against Niger. I think we have seen a lot of these stories. This educate. Where I want us to look at now is this story. I think it's Daily Trust that came out with it boldly. Nigerians kick as ECOWAS orders deployment of troops. From what we have seen or have discussed earlier, apart from the Air Force that we just saw this one that said they are ready, I don't know what they are ready for, ready to go and die or ready to go and rescue the democratic government of Niger Republic. But there has been this warning from different sectors of people in Nigeria. The can is warning. The Northerners are warning. In fact, last week, or was it on Monday, we saw a story that said a war against Niger is war against the North. I think that's one activist that said that. And then the Northern senators followed suit. Okay, we cannot allow you to attack our brothers. And which other people? A whole lot of people. So it does appear, apart from what the Navy just said now, which could be maybe out of, cohesion, and nobody has supported going to war. I have asked earlier, what is our particular interest in this war? And then he says ECOWAS. Now, why is it our people that are shouting that we don't want war more than people from other ECOWAS nations?
We have boundaries with Niger.
Is it only Nigeria that Niger is bothered to?
So it's one of the main reasons. There's a boundary, and also there's no love lost between Niger and Nigeria now. Let's remember that Nigeria has shut down power supply to Niger. And which is contrary to an agreement that Nigeria has with Niger, whereby Niger will not shut down their dam that supplies water to the dam in Nigeria, which is where we generate our electricity. But because of the coup, Nigeria has terminated that agreement by shutting down power supply to Niger. So Nigeria is, your question boils down to the fact that, number one, the ECOWAS chairman is from Nigeria. Number two, Nigeria is wanting to play the big brother role, which will backfire. That is the point we are making. This is no longer the time for us to begin to throw troops around, begin to throw our resources around because we want to help one country or the other. Besides, how are Nigerians feeling? Are Nigerians complaining? They are not complaining. Even the coupists themselves, it's not as if they want power for themselves. After all, they've appointed a prime minister, the former minister of finance and economics. He has been appointed the prime minister. They now have ministers. Also, there are certain ways, illegal maybe, of doing some things right.
Okay, but the young man said that they just want to reposition things.
Put
the right people where they're supposed to be, and then hand over power.
That is what they want to do. I think what ECOWAS, in all fairness, yes, the Bazoum has been illegally ousted, but the question is, what has been his precedent in Niger? Most African, even or most West African leaders themselves changed their constitution towards the end of their tenure, and nobody bets an eyelid, nobody talks. But because these young military men have decided to do things, confront the problem they have, tackle it head on.
Are you trying to ask what is the difference between the coup and the military coup and civilian coup?
Constitutional coup. These things happen. The president of Togo now, his father was the former president, and the president of Togo now has been there for over 20 years. So where is the constitution there? Why should they change the constitution prior to the end of their tenure? These are also constitutional coups. But they don't talk because they do these things in the name of democracy. So what's the difference between what has been happening in civilian Gabon and what the military has done? So, but the important thing is, the Nigerians are not complaining because they are the ones who are feeling the heat.
I don't know.
I think what ECOWAS is trying to do is just look out for their member, Bazoum. They're just trying to look out for their member. No, you can't just remove our member like that.
Or release Bazoum to us.
Or remove him. So this is simply what they are doing. But I know Nigerians are happy with what is happening in their country today. Nigerians are one of the poorest countries in the world, despite their natural resources.
Enormous natural resources.
The enormous. So, in one way or the other, you may not blame them for what is that, because there's a limit to what on an amount of suffering that you can take, then you decide to stand up for yourself. They know the consequences of what they've done. They know that if the whole of ECOWAS decides to attack them, they might not stand the heat. But they also know that there are some other countries who are also standing with them.
We are going to look at that. I think we don't have enough time again. Otherwise, I wanted to look at the interest, because we have talked about, I have asked several questions about Nigerian interest. Does this also international interest that we are seeing everywhere concerning Niger and what is going on in that country? Okay, do you think we're being pushed? Because from what we read all this while, maybe throughout the night I've been reading, and some people are saying that the ECOWAS president is acting a script. Okay, these are just some of the things that you can hear talking about. It does appear somebody is pushing him. Otherwise, how can your country warn you, don't go to war? We don't want war. Okay, and you are just spearheading everything. Just yesterday that we're going. So, is there any kind of international interest? Who is looking for what in Niger Republic?
You know, the international interest, I don't think that they are looking for war in Niger, because as it is now, I think Russia has already decided to back up Niger, to give them backups. So this is one of the reasons why Nigeria have to withdraw from the war. You know, everything is not war. Just like coming to the high rates of insecurity in Southeast, for an instance. Why the insecurity increased to a very high tendency was because of the arrest and detention of Nnamdi Kanu, of which this situation would have resolved through dialogue. Now, bringing it to the current problem in Niger, they would have called for dialogue. And you know, they say that they are trying to fix their country, of which there was high rates of corruption and all that. The former president was taking sole decision on by himself. So these were the things that they saw, and they decided to create a coup and then do what they have to do. So for now, I don't think that the president of Nigeria is acting a script. For now, there is no international interest for this war. There is no.
Okay, GK, you may want to come in there. We said these boys are brandishing their relationship with the Russian president, and while ECOWAS perhaps is being pushed by the West to ensure that democracy is reinstated in the Niger Republic. And we have seen the role of France too in what is going on in the Niger Republic. So are they going to use Africa as a theater of war, considering what's going on in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia now, and the role that the Western countries are playing there? Can't we read between lines and see exactly where this is going to?
If Ukraine is not going to war with Russia, U.S. would have stepped in. U.S. does not go to where they don't have something to take home. There must be an interest. Ukraine has enormous resources, but because the person standing or fighting Ukraine are Russia, U.S. does not want to step in. The same thing is what is a similar thing is almost playing out in this Niger scene. Niger has natural resources, and which France, being their colonial masters, are in charge of. If the only way US or some other Western countries will be able to tap in from what France has been enjoying all the while would be to throw the country into chaos. And once that happens, everybody will be able to come in and grab their own fair share of whatever Niger has. That is what they want to create.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe the Africans start considering the better evil between the West and then maybe the Caucasians. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. Thank you very much for coming today. Imandi Ezanago, a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And then AGK Abata, also a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, and do enjoy your weekend.
Okay, you too. Thank you. And that's where we're drawing the curtain on Newspaper Review this week, because this is the last edition of it. You'll join us again on Monday. But for now, let us shift to another place for our continuation of our discussion this morning. My name is Tichama. Bless you.